They're changing everything, guys. These patch notes, they're changing literally everything. The meta is going to be completely different. All right, Ekko reveal.
Never had luck, never needed it. New tech, new tricks.
Why is this so quiet?
New Zon. Sup, Kay? I was waiting for you.
All right.
What time means anything to you?
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, sorry. I was just waiting for the quality to get better. It took a second.
We're on this timeline. What's up, show me? Like in the new board?
A little front heavy, but yeah, I guess it's all right.
Hello tomorrow.
Called shot. Ooh. So these are the Chronobreaks. I'm gonna have to pause and read that later.
Future is whatever I
Rewind the video. All right. So when he levels up, you create 3 Chronobreaks in your deck, and you can predict those out later, I guess. Strike, create a fleeting 0-cost time trick in hand. Okay.
think fast.
Sweet animation. Yeah, that was a really nice animation. I need to get a closer look at what all the Chronobreaks were doing, because I didn't have time to read them all.
I love that.
Man, that is pretty crazy. That strike effect. So this is called shot. 2 mana slow draw 1, create a parallel convergence in your deck. So yeah, Ekko basically just creates a bunch of good cards in your deck, and you're supposed to get them out with stuff like predict or some other tools like that. That's pretty cool. Convergence is start a free attack with an exact ephemeral copy of each ally. Yo, what? So it basically, it just clones your board. Even if you have a 6-unit board, it'll just start a 6-unit attack. So it's basically just doubling your board presence, and it's a free attack. What? All right, that's a finisher. That's a finisher. Holy shit. And the fact that they all have the ephemeral keyword has like some implications on synergy.
Your time is done.
All right. Oh my god. Do over. Revive all allies that died this round, then rally. What?
Rewind.
Okay. All right, that's pretty crazy.
This is my future. That one's for you, son.
3 mana harrowing rally, kind of. Yeah. So Ekko has some crazy payoff. Let's go ahead and take a look at these cards a little bit closer, because I need to actually have enough time to read what everything does. There was a lot to take in. Is there no single image? Hang on, wait a second. Let me got it. Okay, here we go. It's all up on Mobalytics. All right. So finally some good cards. Yeah, Ekko is looking pretty good. Ekko's looking pretty good here. So basically, Ekko's first form. I'm gonna, slowly go through it all. There's so much to read. All right. Oh, look, Ekko. He's a 4-mana 4/2. Strike, create a fleeting time trick in hand. That's pretty good. So it's basically like Ezreal. It creates like the fleeting 2-mana thing. In this case, it's not 0 cost. And once you've predicted 5 times, he levels up and creates 3 Chronobreaks in your deck as a one-time thing. So this is pretty great. I mean, obviously there is this kind of like meme of, dies to Mystic Shot. He's gonna need some protection here. And PNZ Shurima is going to have actually a little bit of a hard time giving him that protection, which is awkward. I mean, the dies to Mystic Shot meme doesn't apply to things that generate value when they're played, or things that can combine with regions that can easily protect them, right? Like LeBlanc makes sense in Freljord. So you are going to have to go for tools in Shurima and PNZ that are going to be able to do that. But he does level in deck, which is nice, as you guys are pointing out. But yeah, you just need to predict a lot. So you're basically spamming a shit ton of predict. And then when he levels up, you create the 3 Chronobreaks. The Chronobreaks are the ones that revive all allies that die this round and then rally, which is pretty crazy. You're going to need to have a full board presence to be able to use a lot of these cards like Parallel Convergence and Chronobreak. That's going to be an interesting deck to build, where we're trying to build like a heavy board presence in PNZ and Shurima, even though this archetype will use a lot of cards that don't really like slam beef on the board. Okay, Zilean is still the ice. Yeah, I don't know if you'll run this with Zilean. it wouldn't be the worst thing ever. It depends on like how valuable you're gonna use. How much value you're gonna find out of the other champ slot. All right, now Called Shot is this main deckable one, and this is the one that creates the parallel convergence in the deck, and it's also Ekko's champ spell. So it's just basically a 2-mana cantrip that's super slow and just gives you a chance of drawing the parallel convergence later. But you're going to need to kind of high roll it or hit it off of a predict. I don't think you're going to be main decking Called Shot, although honestly, parallel convergence is crazy, and if you have enough ways of being able to pull it out with stuff like your predict, it's not even impossible, because parallel convergence is actually completely insane if you have the board, right? All right, so man, there's a lot in this bundle. Basically, yeah, you're going to be running Ekko. He's pretty much 100% you have to run him with Shurima. And it's looking like a lot of the older cards, like Practical Perfectionist, is going to have a pretty good amount of synergy here, just being able to, be another predict tool in this deck, being able to clone some of these value cards that you're shuffling back in, right? Like you can clone stuff like Chronobreak if you're finding Chronobreak off of Practical Perfectionist, which is just going to literally make your deck better. This is pretty nuts. Parallel Convergence is not main deckable, by the way. Yes, yeah, Parallel Convergence, yeah. No, it's definitely not main deckable. You can only pull it off of Called Shot. Called Shot is kind of how you're supposed to get it into your deck, and then you just have to find it after that. And Chronobreak, you getting off of leveling Ekko. So that's pretty cool. Both his level up and his champ spell are just putting like powerful non-main deckable cards into your deck randomly, and you're just trying to pull them out. So the question is, what are other major synergy points that we're going to be having with Ekko, right? Like, is there anything that I really missed out on here? What do you guys think? We are going to be playing on the new patch today. That's going to be what's happening. And as soon as I'm done with these patch notes, we are going to jump in on stream. Yeah, act surprised, guys. Thank you very much. We're going to jump in, and we will be playing it. So if you're checking this out on YouTube, we are going to be playing the new patch, probably for the next several hours at the very least. All right, big patch, guys. Here we go. I'm going to read that later, but for the intro, we're just going to go through the card changes. Misfortune is going to Overwhelm. Look at, oh my god, this is a big patch. Look at this scroll bar. All right, Misfortune level 2 goes to Overwhelm. Scouts is actually gonna definitely prefer that. Jarvan 4 is going to go to 3 strikes from enemy blockers instead of 4. That's a big one as well. That's actually huge. That's so much easier to level. Trinimir is getting tough. All right, that's literally useless. Okay, we can skip that one. Karma down to 5 mana. All right, there's actually so much to go for. Have you seen this scroll bar? Look at how little this has moved. There's so many patch notes. All right, Karma's down to 5 mana. Aurelia, as 14 allies have to attack for her to be able to level up. Riven, all right, this is something that a lot of people were saying. This is something people suspected. Riven is getting the Aurelia treatment. This is amazing. I'm so happy to hear this, because I have the field promotion Draven Riven deck. So when you play Riven, if you have the attack token, you get the free Blade Forge. That's really amazing. Heimer got buffed. +1/+1. +1/+1. All right, Heimer still unplayable. I think we can see here in the bingo the Heimer still unplayable card. It's still solid. Hecarim, all right. Hecarim's up 1 health. Not gonna help that champion too much, but it's definitely smoothing out a little bit. So far, these are all just champion changes. So some of these are really impactful, and some of these are less so. Azir is harder to level. 13 units summoned. That's a pretty big one. So Azir and Aurelia are both slower to level now. They haven't changed the stats. Azir's still a 3 mana 1/5. But you're actually going to be able to like race this deck down a lot more with like aggro strategies. So they're kind of relegating the deck so far into like more combo-y, right? Like you can at least race them down at the very least. Nasus no longer has Fearsome on his level 1. That's big. Whoa, that's actually huge. So he needs to level up to get Fearsome now. That's a big deal. This is actually a big nerf to Nasus Thresh. That's pretty huge. Sivir. Oh, I like this. Sivir is going to 30 damage instead of 35. That's wow. That one's actually pretty big. Sivir's really not bad of a champion on her own, and the difference between this 5 damage will actually like pretty reliably matter. Like being able to, she was often leveling just like right after it kind of became useless. Like this 5 damage actually matters. It actually does. Talia level 2, attack deal 2 to blocker instead of gone. Have a landmark do this 2 more times. So you no longer need the landmark. For Talia to do the phew 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 thing with her little stone daggers. So I'm gonna give you guys a riddle. How many of you guys actually knew that you needed a landmark on board for level Talia to actually even do that. How many of you guys even knew that? Because there's a lot of people that literally didn't even know that you needed a landmark. If you haven't played Talia, there's a good chance you didn't even know about this ability. Like, it's crazy. All right, Taric goes +1 health. Wow, that actually matters. Okay, that's a +1 health. That can actually make a bit of a difference. I mean, Taric is still a little awkwardly positioned as a card, but yeah, with stuff like a Golden Aegis, you can definitely think about using him. Like, this one will make him a lot more in line with, you know, I guess Shen if we're comparing. Aphelios is getting the +1 health. All right, still creates the moon weapons at 3 mana, so I don't think it's going to matter in this case, but makes him feel a little bit less sad. Make It Rain goes to 2 mana. Woo! Okay, that's... Whew. This is a big change. This is huge. This is something that I was talking about a while ago. I was saying Bilgewater would be saved if Make It Rain goes to 2 mana. I'm going to say this is a divisive one. Some people are going to love this and some people are going to hate this. Make It Rain at 2 mana. For those of you guys who played over a year ago when Make It Rain was 2 mana, it's a really good card at 2 mana. And hilariously, it's such a bad card at 3 mana. It makes such a big difference in terms of this card. Bilgewater's back on the menu. This is single-handedly buffs every single Bilgewater archetype. Like, even aggro decks can run this now. I think it's pretty good overall. Personally, I'm a little skeptical. I mean, there's definitely, you know, there's some people that have been saying like Make It Rain needed to not get reverted. I think that Bilgewater kind of is completely reliant on this card to even function as a region. Like, Bilgewater literally can't work without this card. Swain TF might be back. Swain TF might be back. Yeah, absolutely. Make It Rain changes everything. Even like Misfortune, double drawing Misfortune feels better when her champion spell is 2 mana. That's a big one. This changes everything. Black Market Merchant, Bilge buffs coming in hot. 2/2 back in the day. Anyone remember that meta? I remember that meta. God fucking damn it. All right. Yeah, that one matters as well. 1 health is a huge liability in Runeterra, especially now that Make It Rain is 2 mana, right? Double up, 5 mana. Ooh, that's almost not useless. Unfortunately, I think it still is useless. It's still probably worse than Decimate, but it's at least a bit more considerable now. It's like fast speed on Decimate, it's huge, but it's still very fizzleable, and every good deck in the game is gonna have a way to fizzle that. All right, Slotbot. Whoa. Start, grant me 1 for each card you drew last round, and shuffle my power and health on summon. Okay, so they just added an on summon. Yeah. So now when you play Slotbot, it shuffles on that turn too. Is that a nerf? That's almost a nerf. It's probably not a nerf, but it's really fun. Like, sometimes they'll just die on the first turn. It's definitely a buff. That's interesting. I mean, Slotbot's still a stat stick, so I don't expect this to really change much, but it's cute. Confront. Whoa, this is a big buff. This is a huge buff. Confront. So here's the thing about Confront. This card sucks. This card's still not main deckable. Don't main deck this card. But Shyvana had to run this card because when you double draw Shyvana, you just have this card in your hand. And now this card that you just had to have in your hand is a 2 mana. You're just getting 1 more mana for, like, it's actually playable. Like, you can play Shyvana's champ spell. For anyone who's played Dragon's deck, you know how big of a deal this is, right? Like, that's huge. That's a really, really big deal. Huge Shyvana buff. Mage Seeker Insider is going to a 4/4. Wow, wait. That actually kind of matters. 4 mana, 4/4. That turns into a 6/6. So Mage Seeker Insider, some of you guys might have seen this card. People have experimented with it. You know, like Sudden was running like a Mage Seeker Yeti deck. I don't know if it was running this card. Maybe some version. But it gets +2/+2 once you've casted a 6-cost spell this game. So instead of being a conditional 6/5, it's a 6/6. And when you have this kind of thing, when you have this kind of early game threat with like a must answer kind of thing, like a 6-attack unit early on, that you're cheesing out, this is the kind of thing where that +1 health will always make a difference. That's kind of huge to note, right? Like, in this kind of early game thing where you're going to be attacking and you're going to want to block, like, this kind of +1, it's the same with Taric above, by the way, right? Like, Hecarim's +1 didn't matter, but Taric's, you know, and Aphelios's didn't really either, because Aphelios isn't really like trying to be like a threatening stat stick. This one always matters. Like, every single game you play this card, this +1 health will matter, and that matters. That's cool. I might actually go back to experimenting with that. Laurent Bladekeeper is a 3/3 now. Whoa. So for those of you guys who don't know, I love Laurent Blade. I was already running Laurent Blade. Wow. I was already running LoR and Bladekeeper. I was already running LoR and Bladekeeper in my Draven Riven field promotion deck. And it's just getting buffed. Now it's at 3-3. LoR and Bladekeeper has felt like really, really close as a card in many decks. And I can add it to a lot now. I can add it to so much. Howling Abyss is going down to 6 mana. So I don't think this really changes Howling Abyss. I do like that they're doing this. I think in Runeterra, there's too many meme cards that feel kind of unnecessarily bad. Howling Abyss is like, it's still going to be a meme card, but it won't be like, it doesn't have to be terrible, right? Like it'll be a bit better as a meme card, and that's still important. Ren Shadowblade is getting a 4th point of attack. Huh. Okay, so it's 4 mana, 4/3, quick attack, strike, create a Shadow Fiend in hand. Interesting. I mean, it's creating Shadow Fiend in hand, so it's got Yasuo stat line. I mean, it's probably better than Yasuo now. I mean, don't play this card. All right, Dancing Droplet is losing a tune. Oh, that's a big nerf. That's huge. Droplet is kind of dead as a card. So a lot, oh man, this is big. So yeah, this is a big nerf to a lot of Ionia decks. Azir Aurelia will feel this. This is maybe a bigger nerf to Azir Aurelia than the Azir or Aurelia leveling slower. Because like, they'll have to replace Dancing Droplet in that deck now. That's really interesting. Isn't Droplet garbage now? Pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't say garbage, but it's definitely something that you have to consider and run in a specific deck. It might be garbage. Yeah, it's a lot less good. It's a lot less good. So a lot of like elusive decks won't really be able to work with this anymore. Greenglade, look at it, is becoming a 2/2. Holy shit. All right, I think this might matter a lot more than it seems. So for those of you guys who don't know, something, yeah, it was I think it was over a year ago now. There was a little card called River Shaper, which was seen as just a complete meme card that could never be ran in anything. And when they gave it a 2/2 stat line instead of a 2/1 stat line, it got a lot better real fast. Like it's crazy how much that 1 health matters. Like no longer is this trading down to really anything, right? Like you have to think about it. Greenglade Lookout was a card that if it's at least going off once, it might be pretty good in some decks. This is insane. And like, it's no longer dying to random stuff like Vile Feast or Make It Rain. Like, even if they Mystic Shot this now, you're still trading 1 for 1. Like they stopped their strike, but it's 2 mana for 2 mana, so that's okay. Like this is a huge buff. Greenglade Lookout might actually be ran in decks. You could run this in like Shen Jarvan type archetypes. You could run this in a few different decks. Like think about discounting like Brightsteel Formation in Shen Jarvan or something like that. Maybe even Shen Boat. You could like, this is wow. This is like an actual card all of a sudden. This is one of the bigger changes. Young Witch is getting +1 in health too, and that's another big one. I mean, she just doesn't die to all the same things. That's big for like Lulu style decks. All right, this patch is insane. Will of Ionia goes to 4 mana. Holy shit. I don't know if I'm okay with that one. All right, I don't know if I'm okay with that one. This one I might not be okay with. This one, all right. So again, we're a trip down history lane. For those of you guys who weren't playing when Will was 4 mana. Ionia is a scary region. A lot of things are getting nerfed here, and Will is going to 4 mana. This is really terrifying. This is actually like, this card is a big boogeyman on the meta. It's absolutely insane, just unconditional recall. In a lot of ways, it's just like, we were comparing it back in the day to like 4 mana Vengeance, and in a lot of cases that ends up being true. Twin Disciplines goes to 2, and I'm so happy about this. Man, we've been calling it for ages. I remember there was a Reddit post literally like 11 months ago saying Twin Disciplines should be 2 mana. Like, this is a card that has always felt so confusing at 3 mana, right? When you compare it to like Sharpsight, or you compare it to Troll Chant, or you compare it to any like plus anything combat trick in the game, it was so ridiculously overcosted at 3. This is a very, very fair change. I will say, I don't think Twin Disciplines is nuts at 2 mana, by the way. You might be able to run like 1 copy of this in like a Shen Jarvan or Fiora Shen style list. You might be able to, maybe this could be ran in like Lee Sin. It's all right. It's a consideration as like a 1 of or a 2 of. I don't think it's insane, but it just makes the card at least considerable. It's at least something that could like slide into some decks. It's okay. Incisive Tactician gets the 5/5 stat line. Oh man, when they printed this card, God, when they printed this card as the Reputation synergy card, and it was like an 8 mana payoff, and it was a 4/5 stat line. This was actually always like the most confusing thing in the game to me. This was always just like, just a real head tilter. Like, wait, why is there a reputation synergy card for attack? Like, it was so that you can't clone it with like LeBlanc, which actually matters because it's when I'm summoned rally, right? Like that actually is kind of a scary interaction if you use like the LeBlanc spell on it, right? Because now suddenly it is a summon effect, so it is a summonable rally. I don't think this is going to be an OP interaction, but it's something that can happen in some games, I guess. Not a big change, but at least it feels better from a flavor standpoint. City Breaker is going to 1 attack. All right, still don't play this card. You know, it's actually almost considerable. Like I still don't think I'd play it, but I could see an argument to actually like. I mean, Nexus damage is really important. There might be some slower decks like Freljord Noxus that might actually be able to try experimenting with this. It might be a bit better than I give it credit for. I still don't like it. Javen Dart is going to a 5/5. All right, wake me up when he has elusive again. Midden Stoky Henchman is a 5/4. All right. I mean, I again, it's kind of like, you know, the thing with ARAM, like I like that they're making these buffs. Like this card is still a meme card and Jay Medard is still a meme card, but I do like that they're making the gap between like meme cards and competitive cards smaller. It always felt unnecessarily large in Runeterra. It always felt like unnecessarily so much that meme decks were just like trash into competitive decks. And now, yeah, I mean, they're at least closing the gap a bit. Rummage is 2 cost. Oh, all right. That changes everything. Holy shit. That is a big change. Wow. I mean, discard aggro is using Rummage. Draven Ezreal is using Rummage. I mean, I was using Rummage in that Ekko deck I just built. They just killed PNZ. That's huge. That's so big. That's so huge. I guess you got to change that Ekko deck. Man. Yeah. Rummage and like even like PNZ Targon cards, even PNZ Targon decks were using Rummage. I don't know if I like this one. Like I don't mind nerfing Ezreal Draven and I don't mind nerfing discard aggro, but I think Rummage I don't think was ever really like an OP card, even with some of these new additions. And I think this change kind of kills the card. Like the +1 mana on Rummage is actually so big. It literally dead card. It's almost a dead card now. Like I mean, don't get me wrong, you'll still run it. You might still have to run it in discard aggro and you might still have to run it in Ezreal Draven, but like you'll feel this nerf every time in every game. Like this is a big nerf. This is huge. I think Rummage was fine. I don't think this one was warranted, but that's fine. I mean, listen, guys, most of these patch changes have been winners. I'm happy by this so far. Tribeam goes to 5. Okay, yeah, I mean that's another big nerf to Ezreal Draven. That's pretty huge. I wonder, like, you might build that deck differently now. Wow. Ezreal Draven might kind of disappear as a deck. They're changing everything, guys. These patch notes, they're changing literally everything. The meta is going to be completely different, right? Like, this is crazy. This is absolutely insane. Okay. Yeah. So you might go back to running, like, instead of Ezreal Draven now, you might run like Make It Rain. You might go back to like TF Swain or TF Ezreal style decks instead, actually, right? If Ezreal Draven's getting nerfed and like Make It Rain is back in the picture, dude, like, yeah, the entire meta is just getting flipped on its head. Watcher. Okay.
Well, being 4 mana is like the
summon
biggest
5 allies. Okay, so you have to summon 5 allies, and when it attacks, it obliterates all but 3 non-champion cards in the enemy decks. Good fucking riddance, Watcher. Woo! Out of here. All right. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I think Trundle Lissandra control is kind of dead. This is a big shakeup patch. Big shakeup patch. So people will go back to playing like probably like Feel the Rush style decks. Honestly, Feel the Rush, I don't, maybe there's more denies in the game now. Maybe you just run a completely different kind of control. There will always be a control Freljord Shadow Isles deck in the meta, right? Although honestly, now that Freljord is getting more tools like this, they might not even run Shadow Isles anymore. God, Will of Ionia's 4 mana. Freljord control, maybe like Feel the Mina style decks could actually overtake the new like Freljord control slot. Now that Watcher's nerfed and now that Will is 4 mana, I could totally see that. Rasa's getting a +1/+1. All right. So yeah, I mean, he's still bad. It's kind of a shame. They could have made him 7 mana. I kind of miss old Rasa. He definitely wasn't super oppressive. But yeah, Rasa was a boogeyman for like the first like couple of weeks of the game launch, for those of you guys who might have been playing at that time. Dusk Rider is a 3-5. That changes nothing. Yeah, nothing at all. Escaped Abomination is going down to a 4-2. All right, this is a huge nerf. Holy shit. Oh, Nasus Thresh out of here. Holy shit. I love this. I love this. This is super cool. Yeah, they're literally just nerfing like all the top decks, guys. Like we're just gonna be like, the meta is gonna take a while to get solved now, because like everything is coming down. SI dead. Stalking Shadows 2. Oh no, not Stalking Shadows 2. All right, Escaped Abomination. For those of you guys who don't know, this was a 4-4, and I'm looking forward to like 5 months from now when it's gonna be a 4-1. All right, see you guys then. Stalking Shadows at 3 mana, man. That's a big nerf. That's a big nerf. Huge. So Astral Fox is not gonna be a terror anymore. Man, that nerfs a lot. I mean, Nasus Thresh wasn't running Stalking Shadows. Any sort of Shadow Owl's aggro deck, like Spider's aggro, might not be able to run this anymore. That's big. Nightfall aggro gets kind of shafted. Nightfall gets really shafted by Stalking Shadows nerf. Like that kind of needed that card. It's still playable. Stalking Shadows was kind of like a quote-unquote OP card. Deserved. Stalking was kind of a busted card. Yeah. I mean, on paper, this is kind of deserved. I wonder if it was necessary, though. Because, like, I think in addition to nerfing so many things like the escaped A-bomb and a lot of the Shadow Owls decks, I don't know if this is actually, like... I don't know what this is really even nerfing that's still being ran, except for, like Elise or, like, one aggro-style deck. Because Escaped Abomination nerf is already a big nerf to that aggro-style deck. Overall, I'm not unhappy with this. The thing is, Shadow Owls... Again, history lesson. Shadow Owls has literally been a tier 1 deck in basically 100% of metas in some form forever. For very literally 100% of Runeterra's lifetime, Shadow Owls has been a tier 1 deck in some capacity. Looking at it now, Freljord has some tools. There's like Will of Ionia at 4 mana, and these cards are getting nerfed. This is the first time. This is literally the first time. I'm looking at the Shadow Owls cards now, and the cards that they got, they didn't really get good cards in this expansion either. This is the first time in Runeterra history where I don't actually feel like compelled to play Shadow Owls, right? Like, think about it. Like, what do you even run in Shadow Owls now? This is probably the first time they're not gonna have a tier 1 deck. We'll see. Maybe they'll survive it. Clockhand is a 7/7. Man, I gotta say, this is a big change too. I mean, you're already running this in a deck that's already pretty good. You didn't really need this to have more stats, but it's a card that you're already running in a deck that you're already running, because Lysandra Thralls is still a good deck, right? The Watcher nerf didn't really nerf Lysandra Thralls. Thralls tier 1. Honestly, Thralls are gonna be low key so far. We'll have to see. Thralls look pretty good. They might actually be pretty meta. They might. I think low key they could actually be tier 1, more likely tier 2, but they'll be good. They'll be underrated. Grappler's calling. All right, let me finish this up real quick. Yeah. We'll play against Grappler and a bunch of guys for the rest of the day. Raz Bloodman goes to 7/7. Looks like it doesn't change too much. Yeah, I mean, this card needed to go to 6 mana, but that's fine. I mean, they're making it a little bit better. Dunekeeper nerf, that's big. That hits both Nasus Thresh and Azir Aurelia. I like this change. This is a good change. It's a 1/2. That's fine. Yeah, it basically is just a nerf to this like Shurima, just those two kind of like Shurima aggro decks. That definitely matters. Yeah, I like this a lot. I like the approach they've taken to Azir Aurelia. Like, they're still making it more of a combo-y deck. Azir Aurelia was never an aggro deck. It was a combo deck that could just kill you at aggro speed for no reason sometimes. And the way they're nerfing Azir Aurelia is to slow it down. With like all 4 of these changes, it's just getting slowed down as a deck. So it'll still have like it still puts pressure on the game. They haven't gutted the deck, but it won't, like, it will lose to like aggro decks now. Like, it's an actual combo deck now. Mountain Sojourners is getting 2 attack. It's going to a 4/5. All right, that actually might matter. I think Mountain Sojourners is still a little slow and a little clunky, but I mean, Taric got buffed as well. I mean, Young Witch got buffed. I don't know if you're running support with both Targon and Ionia. I don't think that running Targon and Ionia together makes sense, honestly, even though they both have support keywords. Like, Lulu and Taric want 2 extremely different things from the deck builds. But, I mean, this combined with a Taric buff, maybe I'll mess around with this. It's not bad. Sun Guardian gets an extra point of health. Star Shaping gets finally knocked down. Holy shit. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Woo! This is what we've needed. Look at this patch, dude. The Serpent goes to 1/1. All right. For the first time in a long... How long has it been since they released Targon? How long has it been? For the first time. For the first time in like 11 months, dude. Has it actually... No, it's not... Sorry, like 9 months. Something like that. Like, goddamn. This feels so good. Star Shaping Healing 4 is such a big difference. And like, I like this. They're not completely gutting Star Shaping, but this 1 health will actually matter for like aggro decks. Like, they'll feel this. The Serpent nerf is big. The Serpent nerf is huge. The Serpent nerf is like, oh my god, this is so big. The Fangs is getting nerfed. It's going to a 2/2. Oh my god. That's a big one too. I mean, it's got lifesteal. It can't block like Fearsome anymore. And Serpent, which gets pulled off of Fangs, is getting nerfed. All right. Targon is actually out. That, to me, that's like this. Oh, I love this so much. I'm sorry to the Targon players in my chat, but I couldn't be happier. Fuck Targon. Get the fuck out of my game. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. This is literally like Christmas come early. Holy shit. So I mean, Targon is like, it's not gutted. It still will exist. Lee Sin, for example, it might be a pretty good deck. Like Ione is doing well. I mean, Shyvana got, but like Targon is still existing. Don't get me wrong. Like, these aren't pure guts. It's not like Demacia Targon is going to be a bad deck without access to the Fangs. It'll still be fine. But I don't think it'll be kind of like as dominant or oppressive. And this Serpent nerf changes everything. This Serpent nerf actually changes everything. This was so important. This 2 attack, if you think about how reliably this will matter, this 2 attack was literally like what was able to carry Targon's early game in so many matchups. And this isn't just a nerf to the Serpent. You guys have to understand. I mean, it's a nerf to all of the cards that interact with the Serpent. It's a nerf to stuff like Zoe. Like, Zoe gets a lot. Spacey Sketcher get worse now. Like, I don't know if Lee Sin will run Zoe anymore. Like, that's how big of a deal this is. And now that Karma, like, Lee Sin could run Karma now because Karma's 5 mana, you know? Like, this is a really, really big nerf. I do think this is very warranted. Why Serpent and not Equinox? Guys, the thing is, this is an Equinox nerf. Like, that's the important thing to understand here, right? Like, they're both the same card. You get them off the same sources, right? And don't get me wrong. Like, okay, I think TF Swain is probably well positioned to come back. And this is all the patch notes, by the way. The Fangs was the end of it. TF Swain is well positioned to come back, right? Because Make It Rain is good. Ezreal Draven's getting nerfed. You know, TF Swain might make sense. A lot of people are like, well, my Leviathan is still getting Equinox, and that can happen, don't get me wrong, and Equinox is still doing what it did, but you'll be seeing it less commonly. I mean, if Serpent isn't good, then there's like, people won't run Fangs anymore. Zoe might see much less play. Spacey Sketcher will see less play. Like, Equinox is getting nerfed indirectly because of this, right? It'll still happen sometimes, but as someone who plays things that get countered by Equinox, if you play like stuff like Leviathan, you won't feel it nearly as much. Because, yeah, I mean, the stuff like Equinox is not going to happen as commonly. Like, you're not only going to see a little bit less Targon, but a lot less sources for summoning Equinox. So that's a really, really big deal. This Serpent change is the biggest, is one of the biggest changes on this list. So, all right, this has been really, really crazy. This is the biggest patch the game has ever gotten. I think overall, this is the best patch the game has ever gotten. This is pretty crazy. I love a lot of what they're doing. I personally love the idea of these just huge shake-up patches. If you look at like any sort of meta tier list, and by the way, I'll be updating this. You know, I haven't updated my list as religiously as I always do because I was on break recently. But I'll be updating this entire list tonight. And when you look at the tier 1 and tier 2 decks, like almost everything's getting nerfed. Like, look at this. Almost nothing is surviving this. Like, Shurima Overwhelm isn't getting nerfed, but like a lot of things are coming down, and that's gonna create so much space for new decks to actually have breathing room. Like, that will be the biggest thing. Like, new decks will actually be able to breathe, or it's like some old decks that we haven't seen in a long time, like Karma decks, or even like, you know, Lee Sin decks will come back. Lee Sin is looking like it might be a little bit scary. Overall, my final thoughts. I love all of these changes. Okay, not all of them. There's a couple of them that I'm still a little hesitant about. I think what was it? Will of Ione going to 4? I'm actually kind of terrified of this one. I think that this card will actually be a huge boogeyman on the meta. And it might. So a bit of background. When Will of Ione went to 5 mana, I mean, I like to think I was at least a little bit responsible for Will of Ione going to 5 mana. It probably would have happened eventually, but I might have made it happen a little bit sooner, because I was DMing Steve Rubin like multiple times a week, just saying, like, you know, just trying to give arguments. I wasn't trying to, like, you know, complain about it, but just trying to, like, give major arguments as to why Will of Ionia at 4 mana was just really limiting the meta. And if you play the game back then, you might remember how crazy Will of Ionia being at 4 mana was. Ionia is getting buffed, man. Like, they're getting some new things, and, you know, Lee Sin as a deck is not getting nerfed. Like, control Ionia Freljord might actually be good. Will is just kind of like stops a lot of things. It might have needed to stay at 5. We'll see though. And Rummage was the other one. I don't think this one was necessary. This one is actually a little bit sad. I think Rummage was just a really cool tool for a lot of deck building, and I don't think it was ever really OP. Like, it forced really awkward and specific things. I really liked the identity of this card at 1 mana. There was nothing it was doing that was OP. Like, even if you think Ezreal Draven was a little too OP as a deck, which is debatable, I think there were better ways of nerfing it. But apart from that, I think basically every other change I love here. Like, basically every other change is positive. So I have almost nothing bad to say about this patch, and that's like 40 changes, guys. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, watch out for tomorrow. I'll be doing you know, new decks for the new expansion, and the day after I'll do like a full meta update, meta report, and that will show there's going to be so much changing in the meta. That's going to be really great. But for now, it's time to actually play the game. I wanted to spend 30 minutes going through this, but as you guys know, as I mentioned before, we are going to have like a preview access event. Riot has given some streamers the early access, 24-hour early access. So I'm going to be calling Grappler. We're going to be playing some games on the new set. And yeah, I'm just going to be jamming that all day. I'll let you guys pick some of the archetypes we'll be playing. I'll let you guys pick the order. And I'm super excited for this. So if you're watching on YouTube, within the first hour of the YouTube video coming out, check out the stream, twitch.tv/swimstream. I might still be going because I'll be going for at very least like 7 or 8 hours probably today. I mean, I don't plan on stopping for a lot. All right,